Hey people, this is Fernando doing another video for More Survivalists, and in this case, well, looking into one of the more surprising answers that I've heard ever from Donald Trump, and that says quite a bit. Before I go on, we are living in very complicated times, and the financial aspect of all of this, as you probably are very much aware, is uncertain to say the least. For that, I strongly recommend that you get my book, Surviving the Economic Collapse and Street Survival Skills. Both of these together will give you an upper hand in what you're already seeing now and the uncertain future that many are simply not prepared for. I will also be doing a live stream this weekend with a friend from Argentina, Gustavo. He has a prepper channel of his own in Spanish, and I'll be talking with him for you to guys get a like a different version of things, a perspective from someone else that is someone in the same line in terms of preparedness, survival, but a different opinion, which is always welcomed. So this is one of those interviews that they did with Donald Trump, and I saw some of the controlled opposition, some of the so-called conservative channels celebrating Trump as a tactical genius, giving his quirky and funny answers. That's all good. We know that we are in a war against the left. We are at a war against communism, against totalitarianism, the Marxist cultural agenda that China and Russia and countries that are aligned with that axis strongly support every way they can, from TikTok to financing activists in the United States and in Europe so as to promote an anti-West agenda. I suppose none of these things are a surprise to anyone that watches this channel. I was still surprised by one of the answers here that Donald Trump gave. There's certain questions that corner a person like a freaking rat, cornered into admitting what they are. A perfect example. How many genders are there? How many genders are there? Can you give me a simple answer to that? Or just ask, how many genders are there? Well, a normal person that is not a complete idiot or has a dark political line to pursue will simply answer, yes, there's two genders. You're either a man or a woman, male or female. That's all there is to it. There's not more to go along with this. There shouldn't be gender studies. It shouldn't be a academic pursuit to find infinite genders. That is idiotic or downright evil. What is a woman? That's so complicated. I cannot give you a right answer. I'm not a biologist. Are you crazy? What is a woman? What kind of question is that? Well, it's a female human. That's all a woman is. These are simple questions that people that don't have a dark agenda can answer straight away without any inconvenience, without any problem. Now, I'm from Argentina, so one of the little things we learn is how to corner a commie rat. And the question for that is not about how many genders are there, which maybe would work, but it's even more simple. Is Nicolás Maduro a dictator? The dictator in Venezuela. Is he a dictator, yes or no? Oh, that is so complicated. People that don't have any skeletons in their closet or don't have a Marxist ideology will say, yes, of course, he is a fucking dictator. What about Putin? Is he a dictator? Yes, of course he is. He's been in power for 20 years and he's taking over neighboring nations. Of course he's a dictator. The fat guy in North Korea, dictator too. Yes, dictators are quite easy to tell when they reach that point. So when they asked Donald Trump, which I understand a lot of you guys love him. I don't know if you love him that much when he was going after guns, but, it is what it is. But when you are asking him this basic-ass question, the answer should be just as simple.
Just follow up on that because that's a really important statement that you just made there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
What are people clapping? It's not all that complicated. You're talking about Russia. If there's one thing Russians are very certain about, is that they're not fighting only Ukraine. In fact, most of them say they're not fighting Ukraine at all. Even Putin and most of the Russians you see in interviews, they're interviewed on the street, they're not fighting Ukraine. No, we're liberating Ukraine. We're fighting the West, specifically the United States. Russia is a direct enemy, not an adversary in terms of economics no, it's an enemy of the United States. U.S. soldiers have already killed many Russians in combats in Middle East. It's nothing new. It's been going on for a while now. And now you have a hot war in Europe, and Ukraine has been invaded by, as that genius with Kamala Harris, there's a country called Russia, and it invaded. Well, it is kind of that stupid. Yes, Russia invaded Ukraine. It's not all that complicated. You can find any excuse you want, but that's what's going on. And there's a damn horrible war ongoing, and ideally, Ukraine would win. The faster Ukraine wins, the better it is for Ukraine. It's not better for Russia. If Russia gets beaten, it's not going to be good for them. Russia wants to win the fucking war. Russia wants to take over. I mean, it was kind of idiotic to think you could take over a large country as Ukraine with such an amount of opposition, going straight for Kiev. That was insane, and that's why it failed as it did. But the war is still ongoing. Who do you want to win? Of course you want Ukraine to win. Who doesn't want that? Well, China, Russia, Putin, all of the Russian oligarchs, and whoever is in their pocket, I assume, which includes Donald Trump and a number of other figures from the West that have their own agendas for whatever reason, for Marxist ideology, or because they've been bought, I assume, or because they have very compromising material. But this man is running for president of the United States. His answer should be quite simple. I want Ukraine to win. Yes, we want Russia to retrieve and go back to their own country and stop this insane invasion. They shouldn't have started in the first place. That's the answer that would have left 90% of the Americans happy, even if you don't want to support NATO or Ukraine or whatnot, and you don't want to, whatever it is that you have in mind, you still should want Ukraine to win, not Russia, because Russia is not only the enemy of Ukraine, enemy of Europe. Russia is most certainly, without any doubt whatsoever, the enemy of the United States as well. And this is damn bordering treason. Guys, it's going to be all for now. See you in the next video. Take care.